Yep.
No, we're going in now. We're going to get started in about 15 seconds here. Pastor Mark just had a revelation behind the scenes that you all didn't hear. He hates Twitter. They can hear you now. You guys are live.
Oh, we're live now?
Yeah. Now
You're
live.
Hey, everybody. I just figured I wouldn't say anything. I was just pointing to Mark above me.
That's quite all right. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Roundtable, the very first Roundtable, actually. Guys, thanks for joining us here. And everybody online, thanks for joining us. We're going to be embarking on a weird journey here, so we hope that you stay with us and don't just immediately exit the browser. Stay logged into your apps, whatever you're doing. I'm joined by three amazing guests. You know them, you love them. Pastor Mark, aka The Lift, is to that side of me, that side to me, right over there. There he is, his biceps. Down there.
I do push-ups now, by the way. So just for the record, I'm coming for you.
How many?
I can do 20 at a time. So and my back looks like a banana when I do them, but it's still I can do them. I can do like a full 20 banana push-ups. So what's up, Sheeps?
I don't know if I've ever been more proud of you. Honestly, like you've said some things.
I can do sit-ups too.
How many of those?
I can do 20 of those too. And my back looks like a banana in the opposite direction because they're sit-ups. So it's
reverse banana. This is great. It's like it's a croissant at that time. Joined below me, we have our good friend Templar. Templar, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Chino. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm getting all fired up for your hot takes later. Real quick, what happened to the amazing LED display you had behind you Wednesday night during Dream Team stuff? Where'd that go?
LED display.
Yeah, it had like you had like a bunch of colors going on behind you, and now I mean it's nice, but it looked very much like a 1997 rave in California.
Is that the look we want? Is that the look I should be going for?
I mean, I don't know. Our pre-show conversation about some illicit substances would tend to suggest that yes, we do want that on stream.
Okay, I got you. I'll see if I can spice things up during the show.
Great, I appreciate that. And last but certainly not least, my screen is mirrored, so I don't know where I'm going right there. Right there, look at that.
Yeah, you got it.
Cool. Navalis joining us from the remote office today. Nav, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Glad to be here. Glad to be part of this and just hanging out with all you guys.
So why are you in your remote office? We never got to the bottom of that story.
I have 7 family members at my house right now that are from Florida.
First of all,
I was kicked out. My office is now a bedroom. That is why. There's an air mattress in there and a bunch of kid stuff. So
okay. Sheep says Mark looks very confused right now, so I appreciate that.
That's because in the stream it's saying that all of our voices except for yours, Chino's, sounds like a robot. And I don't know. I'm listening to it on my end, and it does not sound robotic, but perhaps it is. Okay. I'm gonna try to listen to my own voice for a second.
I'm gonna listen to your voice.
I'm listening to it on my end, and it does not sound robotic. But I sound like a robot.
Yeah,
I sound super robotic.
You totally do. Let's see if I can fix that. You guys keep talk amongst yourselves while I fix this whole thing. How about that?
Just 3 male robots hanging out together, seeing if
we just throw on the auto tune for us.
3 male robots hanging out together.
Just a little auto, just a light auto tune. Yeah, it's okay.
You guys remember T-Pain, the height of T-Pain, right? That's what we're hearkening back to.
He's a streamer now. He's a great streamer.
Wait, what?
Is he really? T-Pain's a streamer?
Yeah, his stream. Oh, you should look up his T-Pain stream intro. It's fantastic.
Huh.
Is it on Twitch or on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. There's a few different ones he's done, but he makes his own song for the intro of the show. It's great.
Of course.
Fantastic stuff.
I would expect nothing less. How much marijuana is smoked on stream there?
I haven't noticed any.
Okay.
But I've never actually watched one of his streams. I've just seen the clips.
That's probably smart. That's definitely smart. Well, hey, Roundtable, we are so honored that you're here. We're so honored that you're jumping in the chat as well. Pop in there, say hello. We've got a bunch of people joining us from all over the place. Jen is here. Obviously, Nav is here. Sheebs is here. Thanks for joining in. Zeph is here. Hey, Zeph, good to see you. Everybody else popping into the stream, just pop into the chat. Give us a old hello. We don't really have all of our stream elements popped up yet, so you're not really going to see everything on screen. Sorry, we'll get there. This is kind of beta version 1, but the Roundtable is actually something.
First try, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been talking about this for what, a month now, Mark? How long has it been that this has been in process?
At least, yeah, I would say. Well, we definitely talked about it back in March when we were like, hey, we should find a way to hit affiliate with the stream, and then we hit affiliate before we ever started doing roundtables. But we were definitely talking about it because we were talking about announcing it at Easter and starting it right after, and then we didn't really follow through with that. Didn't really do that, and so then it got pushed back to launch in May instead. And so yeah, first one. I Live for God. Good to see you, Rivers 24. Also a pleasure and a joy to have you here with us. Rivers was new from my stream today.
Oh, awesome.
Was hanging out with me today, and then wanted to come and hang out with us for Roundtable. So.
That's dope. Well, why don't we go ahead and give everybody a clue into, Mark, if you don't mind, introduce everybody to the actual concept of what the Roundtable is. Also, Zeph's already thrown shade saying it looks like a square table that wants to be round, so appreciate that. What is the Roundtable?
I think that's a fair criticism, actually.
Yeah. So the intention of the roundtable was like, how can we, there was a bunch of things. It was like, first off, how can we go live on our channel more than once a week? Because we wanted more opportunities for people to come and interact. The second one was like, okay, we recognize the fact that like forward teaching where we're doing teaching is one thing for a service. But we think that there's other additional helpful ways to have conversation and help people grow in their faith that isn't like that can actually interact with chat and things, but it's probably not going to take place during a Wednesday night. So we were looking for an opportunity to create content like that. On top of that, we were like, how can we get other members of the Dream Team to kind of get their faces in front of the church and have conversations and hear from them, get some hot takes, that sort of stuff, in a way that we can create content that's genuinely entertaining and enjoyable, but also theoretically, uplifting and helpful to people's spiritual walks. And so all of those things kind of came together, and it was like, well, we can certainly find a way to go live more often with a group of people. We can find a really solid group, and we can alternate those people in and out, finding different members of the Dream Team to sort of come on and join that, including me alternating in and out, by the way. So I'm really excited about really everything that we're going to be doing and the different things that we're going to be discussing over, however long we're doing a roundtable.
Absolutely. The hard-hitting topic we wanted to bring to the table today is something that has been weighing heavy, I think, on all of our hearts and all of our minds, especially after the first birthday party of Lux, where we saw the original voice for a most beloved and cherished action star. Action star? Yeah, I guess he's an action star.
Voice actor. He's a love voice actor.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And of course, we are talking about Mr. Master Chief himself, whatever that dude's name is, John 117. Also, Templar, you switched up the lighting there. I appreciate that.
I'm looking for the rave light. I'll let you know, but
I mean,
trying to keep it spicy.
If you have an epileptic fit, I mean, I can't come revive you. Sorry, dude. We
blame it on Templar.
Absolutely, yeah. We wanted to get a little bit into this Halo show that has come out to varying degrees of success and varying degrees of critical reception. I think we all have thoughts. If whatever your thoughts are, obviously in the chat, pop them in there. We would love to hear about it. But we kind of wanted to spit it around the roundtable and talk about some things there. But before we get to Halo, we actually wanted to talk about some of the things we've been doing, some of the things we've been playing. Typically, a format of the roundtable is going to be a little bit about us, what we've been playing, what we've been doing the whole week. We kind of want to hit a topic in the world and then kind of dive a little bit deeper into something. So I'm going to start actually with Nav. Nav, what have you been playing? What have you been doing this whole week? You said you've got like 14 different people at your house. So how's that been going too?
Not much video game playing this week, but lots of other things, which has been good. Been watching lots of Sonic. Okay. So my
like
niece and my nephew, they love Sonic. So I've already watched the Sonic movie. Huh?
There's a cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you go on Amazon Prime, there's Sonic X, Sonic whatever. I had the theme song stuck in my head. I will not sing it. I have it stuck in my head now.
What do you mean there's a cartoon, Mark? What?
Yeah.
What kind of nerd are you, bro? I'm not into Sonic. I don't know why people are. Can't figure it out. I don't understand Sonic. I don't understand Power Rangers. I don't understand that. I don't get it.
I'm pretty sure I've seen already the first season, so I'm like, I'm gonna have to finish this now. Okay, but anyway, Sonic movie was good. Okay, that's the first time I've seen it, so I recommend that. Just if you want there. So I liked it. It was fun. Brought back childhood memories. I did play Sonic on the Sega Game Gear. That's going old school right there. I didn't have one. My friend did. So I went over to his house and I played it all the time. So I was a Game Boy Color person. So That's what I had.
So the Game Gear, did you get carpal tunnel syndrome from playing that thing? Because all I remember is it was like this wide and it weighed like 15 pounds. Yes. And I remember
all the D batteries.
Oh, the batteries! I never seen so many batteries in one device in my life. Oh my goodness!
$40 in D batteries to run the thing for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, for 20 minutes of gameplay.
Yes. So besides that, I've been playing a little bit of Hearthstone because that's mobile. I can take that on the go. I like Battlegrounds, so I may stream that sometime. I'm trying to work on that because it's just a fun mode. It's free, so you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
And then been playing my Switch when I can as well. I'm in the middle of. I beat Tales of Vesperia.
Nice.
Recommend. That is a good game. I only can play RPGs on the Switch because I don't have time to sit down in front of the TV and play a 40-hour adventure. So this I can take with me wherever I go, playing on breaks, that type of thing. And then I'm starting, someone recommended to me 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. It is like a visual novel / strategy game that's like 13 stories, time travel, crazy. The story's pretty interesting. So if you like a crazy sci-fi story, this is for you.
Dude,
robots battling each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got about 5 or 6 hours. Yeah, you were missing one key part is like angry, angsty teens, very anime teens, and mechs.
Yes, okay.
A lot of mechs.
See, I grew up watching Gundam, so this is like...
Yeah, this is right up your alley.
Like, I'm like, this is my childhood right here, and I'm giant mechs shooting missiles at each other. I'm like, I'm here for this.
Totally.
So
I made an anime RPG once, a TTRPG, tabletop RPG, that was a Gundam game, where like I made it myself. I based it off of what was the Legend of the Five Rings? It was an old D10 system, and I built an L5R where you had 2 character sheets. One was your character that had a class, and then one was your Gundam, which had a Gundam class, and you would fight in space, and also like you had your individual class you'd fight on the ground. I built it. We never played it, so it was probably terrible. But I just want to say I want to be included in the conversation. So I did do it. Okay.
Thanks for being here, Mike. We appreciate it.
It's very important to be included.
Next time on the roundtable, we're gonna play that. That'll
be our opening 15 minutes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
go dig it up. Yeah,
totally.
If anyone wants to talk Gundam with me in Discord chat, hit me up. Okay, I'll talk about it. All right. And so there you go.
Templar, what have you been playing?
I've been on the Halo train. I mean, obviously we're going to be talking about the show, but I tend to go through phases with games, and I just kind of jumped into Halo. I played 1 to 3 when I was younger, and 4. And I recently got Xbox Game Pass for PC, so I got the Master Chief Collection. So I played through. I planned on playing them all through, kind of in chronological order. I never did get that far, but I beat Reach. I got near the end of 1, and then I kind of went back to playing Halo Infinite, which I had started previously. So I finished that this past week, which I enjoyed, although the story ends a little too early, I think. But the gameplay was quite fun. I thought.
Dude, they got to sell you. They got to sell you more downloadable content with that story.
Sure. Well, yeah. I don't know if it's DLC or if they're setting up a sequel, but I like the gameplay. I had a fun time with it. The kind of semi-open world thing I thought was good.
Halo, then I was gonna say Halo Infinite is a 10-year plan, so hopefully.
Oh, is it 10 years?
Yeah, it's a 10-year plan. So like Halo Infinite is supposed to go on for 10 years with content,
which is funny,
not just multiplayer.
Sure.
Which is funny because I saw statistics that said it was under 7,000 concurrent players on Steam and Xbox Live as of like the new season that dropped on Monday. So, whoops,
still better than Battlefield 2042 though.
Well, so, Mark's tabletop game that never got played was better than 2042. So.
It has more concurrent players.
Yeah, exactly. That's my hot take for the day. There we go.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's very interesting to me that a game with the name Infinite in it would be pre-planned to only go for a decade. That's think that we would just try to go forever with the Infinite game.
Is that time to like Infinite and like game wise? I guess does a game use I don't know.
I don't know. Ask Skyrim how long it lasts, because I heard they're coming out with a new special edition probably later this year.
And they'll still sell a lot
on
of
Elder Scrolls 6. We've been building DLC packs for Skyrim this year. $44.95.
They got to re-release it for PlayStation 6.
Yeah, I can't wait to be able to
release it for PlayStation 6 and Xbox 725R Scarlet, whatever the next one's called.
I love that name. That's a dope name.
So yeah, I've just been playing Halo the last week mostly. I downloaded Halo Wars 2, and I've been playing that a little bit, and kind of enjoying it because I do like the RTS style games as well. And then every day I still do my daily quests, and I've been playing some of the Lab of Legends in Legends of Runeterra.
Yeah.
But that's been most of my gaming for the last couple weeks.
Cool. Beggy Man actually is on the Halo train right now, so if you guys wanted to look at me, I'm matchmaking right now. You can call me Xbox Live Matchmaker. You guys can jump on and play. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
He plays like every night. Yeah, he loves it. He loves it.
Lift, what have you been playing?
First off, I want to say hi to St. Bear, say hi to Hey Bake, everybody else who's here in the chat. Thank you guys. If you are here for the very first time, we love you, appreciate you. We're glad that you're here. Feel free to drop a hello in the chat so that we know that you're here. Other than that, so what have I been playing? So I've been playing the same thing I've been playing for the last 2 years, but with a fresh new perspective, which is Elder Scrolls Online, because I somehow miraculously convinced a bunch of people to play despite trying to do that and failing for 2 years. Chino Mage downloaded the game and simultaneously 5 other people did. Okay, well, I guess I'm not the trendsetter here. But yeah, so I've been playing that on stream, and that's actually been really fun, been engaging with the community. Off stream, man, I can't stop playing stinking Super Auto Pets. I don't know. I don't know. I played a game before we got in here on my phone, and it's just like, I'm almost up to 50 wins, guys. I'm in like a 10% chance, a little better than 10% to win on Super Auto Pets. And yeah, if you're looking for a really addictive, very simple auto battler, Super Auto Pets is the game. If you're not looking for that, don't play it, because that's what you will receive. And and then you won't be able to quit. And so it's just reality. The other thing that I played, actually, Templar suggested to me. I streamed it a little bit, and I've been playing a little bit off stream. It is Weird West, which is free on Xbox Game Pass right now, which is this sort of Western style game based off of the Savage Worlds tabletop RPG setting, Deadlands. And so you're playing, it's sort of like a demonic version of the Wild West, and you can like sling magic through your pistols and build a posse, and you're like, it's dark. It's actually kind of dark, and there's a good bit of language in it, but I have found the gameplay to be really, really fun. You're kind of like adventuring around battle maps and stuff. What you would kind of picture like really well done 3D Western style battle maps would be for a tabletop RPG, but you're able to actually, move your character around with your mouse, and it's like real life like real time actions. It's not turn-based combat. Like, you're pulling out your pistols and you're like trying to kill everybody before they get you and your posse. And so it's been fun.
Is it really a tactical game?
No. I would say it's more akin to something like Diablo 3 meets Baldur's Gate. So like, it's not really as fast of combat as Diablo 3. And it's not like a looter shooter type of game. So it plays more like Baldur's Gate, but Baldur's Gate has turn-based combat, while this has real-time combat.
You just warmed all the cockles of my heart there with those words.
I don't even know what a cockle is, but I'm
but
glad it's warm.
Yeah, you warmed it.
I hope. But yeah, it's been a fun little game, and it's free on Xbox Game Pass right now, or Microsoft Game Pass. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. Checking that out.
Cool. I will go real quick through this because Mark already touched on the main game I'm playing. It's this little game called Elder Scrolls Online. I can't decide if I love it or like it. I have moments of this is the greatest game I've ever played, and then moments of like I'm so tired of just wailing things and killing them. Like, I want a little more challenge with it. And I was talking on stream with Bougie last night, and he said that it never really gets any harder. And Mark, you and I have talked about this too, but it never really gets any harder until you hit like end game, which is kind of what I'm sprinting to try to get to end game. And then I've been following a quest line in Skyrim that has to do with like vampires and a 7-foot tall woman who's like in love with a nerd. And there's like the character creation around it, like for an MMO, it's outstanding. And then occasionally I'll get pulled back into Final Fantasy 14. And so like I've also been streaming a little bit of like I'm playing a new Lala, and I can't quit that. That's my like baby. I can't quit you, babe. So I've been playing those two things on stream, and like I have really, honestly, like loved ESO. It looks good. It feels good. The attacks have weight. It's just I need just a little more challenge. Like I need a slider. I've heard New World as well. Bougie was actually talking about New World. I don't know. I don't know if I can add something else to my plate right now, man.
Oh no, don't. The attacks have no weight. That was the joke. It was no. Yeah,
okay. New World is a really, really bad game.
Yeah. Okay. So I had watched like one review of it, and I was like, I shut my laptop, and I was like, we're good. I can't do it. So those are the two things I've really been playing. I've been playing Super Auto Pets. I have not gotten one win at all, ever.
Oh no! You've been playing for weeks, bro.
I've been playing for 3 weeks now, and the closest I've gotten is 7 hearts. I don't get it.
Ooh.
Like I don't freaking get, or not 7 hearts, seven medals. Like what am I doing wrong? What? I just get stomped, and like I have a good strategy up until like 5, and then I'll lose at 5, and then it's like, all right, we're good. I'll like retool my strategy, and then the bottom drops out. So
I can actually help with this. So see, what you're doing wrong is you're playing Super Auto Pets. So that's that's the issue. So I mean, if you don't do that,
hold down the button on the app and it jiggles, I can just hit that X and it goes away, right?
You can just hit that uninstall, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So I think that's what I would suggest.
That's smart. I'll take that into consideration. So I want to move into kind of something else.
Preeminence and chat say he's got to win. He's got a Super Auto Pets win. So I'm pushing for 50 right now. That's my goal.
I don't know whether to say I'm sorry or congratulations, Preeminence, but hey.
I mean, it's the definition of lunacy, right? So the idea that people can actually win this game and like it just feels a little bit Dark Souls-y to me, where I just keep getting pounded and then going back to it. I don't know. Maybe I have an abusive relationship with Super Auto Pets.
Oh my goodness. I am going to download it, and I'll let you guys know what I think of it next week. Okay.
I love this.
All right. You'll have my review of it next week. Okay.
Cool.
I'm not going to download it, and I'm still going to let you all know what I think of it next week.
And that is the content we all come to the internet for. Thank you, Templar. Speaking of content, there you have seen next to me running on a loop now, and the loop is kind of janky because I haven't clicked into the window for a while. There we go. It's this dumb show called Halo, and I love Halo. I guess I already started.
Starts off dumb show.
I used to play Halo competitively. Like I was a tournament Halo 1 CE player. I was an MLG Halo 2 player. I know Halo. I love Halo. I have an affinity for Halo. And so the first 15 minutes of this show, well, whatever, we can talk about the show in a second, but for those of you that have not downloaded or have not watched it or have not gone to see anything about it, it's on Paramount Plus. It is, in my opinion, a travesty, but I guess we can kind of go around the room and see what everybody else thinks. Templar, I'm going to start with you because I can't tell if it's rage in your eyes or if it's just resignment. What's going on there?
I'm going to go get a drink of water, so I'll be back after he's done.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly.
It's probably the second because, I mean, I have lots of negative things to say about the show. I have a few positives, mostly negative, but I've still watched all 7 episodes that have come out so far. So I can't really reconcile why I feel an urge to continue to watch the show when I have almost nothing good to say about it.
It's doing something right.
So this weird situation that I'm in where, they're like, well, people would be like, well, why would you keep watching? I don't know. I'm not sure why I keep watching it, because maybe I'm hoping it goes somewhere.
Here,
I hope what they're building to is actually something interesting in terms of a payoff. And
spoiler, they're not. Here's what it is though. I was eating lunch today and I was watching the end of the 7th episode and there's no spoilers here. Whatever, we can do that later. But I was trying to figure out why I hated everything that was happening. And here's what it is: the animal lizard part of my brain heard the shields on Master Chief come up, the boop come up, and when you hear the visor go down and you see everything that the Master Chief sees, like, oh my gosh, that was the first time in Halo 3 when I saw the visor. And then you see the Needler being fired, you see the plasma rifle being fired, you see the brutes or the grunts, and everybody, all of the elites running around and talking in their weird gibberish, and you hear you hear that and you immediately think, oh my gosh, I'm transported back to this game. And then the bottom freaking drops out every single time. And it's masochism. That's all it is. It's masochism.
Okay, so I'll give you my quick synopsis of my feelings on the show. I'll start with good things because there's not that many. One, the action I think overall is reasonably well done.
When there is action.
The primarily, without spoilers, the main bit of action is in the first episode and in episode 5. Those are kind of the two big battle scenes that you get out of the 7 episodes. And there's frankly a lot of filler. But the battle scenes, when they're done, I think are mostly done well. There's some questionable things in them, but they look good. The show has a pretty good budget. That's fine. I think piggybacking off of that, the look of the show, I think, is pretty solid. I like Master Chief's armor. I think it looks good. It doesn't look like fake plasticky, which I think could be a risk. I like the look of the vehicles. Like the Warthog looks good. The weapons, for the most part, look good. There's some iffy CGI in the first episode in a couple parts. The Covenant look good for the most part, as much as they're in the show, which is not a ton. So generally, like visually speaking, it looks good. So negatives, and quickly, the writing is not well done. So nothing is really effectively set up. Long periods of time are spent with things that don't end up going anywhere, or with characters that we don't care about. There'll be whole episodes where the Master Chief is basically not in it. And it's a Halo show. So that's, to me, is a negative when you focus an entire episode on a character that I personally don't care about at all. Not interested. The characters are let down by the writing. I think there's some interesting ideas when it comes to some of the characters, but I think they also left out some potentially interesting characters from the show, like Sergeant Johnson, for example, who is a really fun character from the games that inexplicably they sort of almost replace him with another higher ranking character that is much less interesting. So the characters are let down again by the writing. And then, I mean, of course, people have talked about it. I understand it's a TV show, but I don't like the depiction of Master Chief. Largely, he's depicted as hypocritical, emotional. He's just not that sort of stoic figure. And I understand I could have done without that too.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's in good shape. I'll give him that. But hey, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to see.
So he lifts. He lifts.
Hey, whatever. Right? Being honest. Dude's in good shape. He
clicked on that link to the Thor workout that's on every social media site now, right? He followed up on that.
But I could have done without that. And I get it. It's a TV show. You can't make him like a completely silent protagonist who like never takes his helmet off. That would be extremely difficult to execute. And given the general incompetence of the people who clearly are making the show, I don't trust that they would have been able to pull that off any better. But I think they went too far in the other direction. You know, if
there's no other shows with like really stoic characters that don't take their helmets off that's currently being produced and put on Disney Plus or anything.
My point is, it's not impossible. It's just difficult, right? Like it's difficult to make that character engaging. Obviously, like Mandalorian did that, right? But it's not an easy thing to do. And clearly they went in another direction. But it's frustrating how far they went in that direction, because if he has his helmet on for more than like 5 minutes, he has it off for the rest of the episode. Like it's just, you see him just walking around more than you see anyone else. And the relationship with Cortana is weird. And the changes they made to Cortana's character, I don't personally like. And anyway, I don't want to just end up rambling, but those are my main ones. I think the writing is the biggest issue with the show. I think they don't really know what narratives they want to push. They don't really know what kind of politics they want to put into it. And they end up kind of going different directions and putting in things that don't really make sense given the world they're trying to set up. But yet I keep watching it. So here I am.
Masochism. Nav, what about you? How far are you?
I haven't seen the latest episode because I heard it's mostly about Quan.
Yeah.
And and I'm just
care
like,
less about Quan.
I was like, I yawn every time that, I mean, not saying she's a bad actor. It's Vanek and her together. I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm a bad version of the God of War or something like that. I don't know. Like it's like bad version of Last of Us or something. I don't know. Like something like not exactly sure. I'm like, where are they going with this? This is boring me out. But anyway, let me be more constructive with this. Anyway, I've watched it. I'm a big Halo fan. Halo 3 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Like I can go back and play that anytime that game. I just remember the ending of that game. I just on the 360 playing it, just like I was dumbfounded. Just it was awesome. One of the best endings of a series. Just hands down. But anyway, so I went into this to the mindset that this is not the games, and I think that's helped me a little bit more. Like this is not the games. They've already said like basically they said without saying don't expect the video games basically. So I'm like, okay.
Well, they said they never even looked at the games when they were making the show.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
I don't know how Microsoft allowed one of their flagship franchises just to be like, hey, make a show, but don't play the game. It doesn't make sense. Okay, that's besides the point. I have issues with that. But let's see here. Let me think about it. The battle scenes, like you said, I say overall the show is, if it wasn't with like the Halo name, it'd be an okay sci-fi show. Does that make sense? If there was no Halo saying, hey, this is just a sci-fi show with aliens and everything else, it'd be like a pretty decent, but because of the Halo, there's a higher expectations. And how they revealed Master Chief's face and all that stuff was really stupid. Okay, I'm just gonna say that was very poor writing. There is so much. I felt like they should have waited halfway through the season at least just to kind of build up anticipation, but that's a whole different story. I'm like, you just kind of like, yeah, build it up, everything else. The parts with Quan make me yawn. Even my wife, she was watching it with me. She likes Halo too, because her brothers all played Halo. She knows the whole Halo story and everything. And she's like, oh, this part, I'm going to go get a drink of water. Let me know what happens. Or, that's what she does. With all that being said, the writing's poor. Episode probably, I would say 6 was probably the best episode for writing, I think. There was like one cheesy part in there, I felt like overall the story actually went places in that one a little bit more than any of the other episodes. I'm like, okay, this could have been done way sooner than this. But anyway, and then like you said, why do I keep coming back and watching this? Is when the shields come up, the visor comes down, the Halo theme starts playing. It brings me back of like, okay, when they revealed a part in Halo, the episode 6, it's called Halo, so they're going to go to the Halo ring eventually, okay? But when they reveal a certain thing and then you're just like, the music's playing, I was like, I have to see how this ends. Yep. I'm like, it could be the worst show in history, but I'm going to have to watch it now because they showed that.
They did that on purpose too. They did.
They did. And with all that said, I'm just going to bring some stats in it. Paramount Plus, the CEO said this is the most successful show they have on their streaming service.
Well, they've got streaming service.
What other shows do they have, though?
Well, I'm saying their streaming service grew by 6.8 million people since the Halo show launched. All right, which has brought it up to 40 million viewers, and it stayed pretty steady through all of this. It's already been renewed for season 2, so I'm hoping that they introduce some more characters because they already know season 2 is already going to happen. I'm hoping they'll correct, probably not, but I'm hoping they'll correct some things. But I don't know. I'm enjoying the show. I'm not in love with the show. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm enjoying the nostalgia. I want to see where it goes with Master Chief and some other characters in the show.
I don't.
And then Quan, I could care less because as soon as they just criticism, I'm like, we're doing this whole trope of you have like a parent figure almost and a kid figure, and it's like I don't like that in video games either. I get tired of that real fast. But anyway,
agreed.
I don't mind it when it's done well, but Quan is just, again, I think it's let down by the writing. Like, I think Quan as a character could be interesting, just like I think like Miranda Keyes could be interesting in the show as a character. Like, there's a couple characters that I think like, okay, like there's something here. But when the show, like the first time you meet Miranda Keyes, she dumps like 15 minutes of exposition about her trauma. And I'm like, we just met you. Yep. Like, I don't care about you at all as a character yet. Can we not build up to this?
The pacing is terrible on that.
What about the whole show don't tell? Show don't tell. Yeah. They just tell and don't show. Right. Like, it's not. So, I think Quan could be interesting, but she basically repeats half the same dialogue every time she's on screen about what she's going to do. And then she's given these abilities that there's no reason she should have them. And it just doesn't, I'm ranting.
By the way, Holden just popped in the chat and said that Flubber Origins is going to dethrone Halo, which I agree with wholeheartedly, and I think we should have a viewing party right here on stream.
Is that a real thing?
No, but it should be.
Oh, please, no.
It totally should be.
Oh, please, no.
I'd watch it.
Mark, because we want to involve.
I'm hoping that if I show Flubber show Flubber at the community movie night this month, that it'll just be me and Holden watching it, and B, that we'll end the Flubber discussion because I showed the movie.
But you can't. There is no discussion. Flubber is a way of life. Okay, Flubber is in you. Mark, since
okay, are you ready? Are you ready for me?
Yeah, go for it. You've gotten half an episode in?
I have one full episode in. I have watched the first episode. Let me preface this with I don't care at all about Halo.
Okay.
I know nothing about Master Chief. When I played Halo 1, the only time I played it is I would play it at the local church's LAN party once a year, and they would hook up 4 Xboxes, and we'd play 16-player Halo.
Dude.
And all I did was get on a Ghost and run over my own team in that map that had 2 bunkers, one on each side.
Yeah.
And I would just, and then I would apologize to try to get back in the room to be able to play again. And every time someone would sit down a controller, I would sneak in and kill a bunch of my own teammates with a Ghost. Then I'd get kicked out of the room again. That's my experience. Then I played Halo 3. Yeah, I played Halo 3. I played for a little bit. Then my brother got on. He beat me real bad. I never played it again. Cool. So I'm not a Halo fan. I don't care about Halo very much. Don't care about this character. But I loved this. I loved the first episode. I thought it was great. I watched the first episode. I was like, I'm actually really excited. I expected to be disappointed, but I was like, I'm genuinely really excited. I want to know what this clone chick is. I want to know. I want to know what this. I want to know why there's a human with these Martians. I want to know. We're like Asian with the bowl cut. The chick with the bowl cut. I want to know. I kind of want to know a little bit. Yeah, Quan. I want to know about her deal a little bit. Master Chief is fine. I think that's like it's a little like Hunger Games and spacey, right? You have like the Outer Rim that they're really poor and they're oppressed by the central power that is. And yeah, they don't make them go fight to the death. They just show up and slaughter them, or they let them die to aliens. And so, I was like, there was a couple of moments, right? So in the first one, there's this moment where, and if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry, there's this moment where like they're like, oh, there's an alien ship, and you're like, I don't really know what it is, maybe it's the Spartans, and then a dude's head disappears, and you're like, whoa, okay, like this is not exactly the show I thought it was gonna be, because that dude is just gone, and then there's like all this killing and stuff, and then there's a moment in the first one where Master Chief stands up, he gets all shot up, right? And then you hear the noise, right? The whoop of the shields regenerating. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that. And then the journey back to wherever it is that they're going on the ship with the air and the political stuff that's kind of going on, the bit of the political drama of like, we have a super soldier and I'm kind of like, how much control do they have over Master Chief? Because I never knew, I've never looked at any of the lore. I don't know any of the story. So I'm like, well, maybe they have always had some control over Master Chief. And I didn't know that. And so like the super soldier gone rogue theme is like cool. I think that I actually like the chick character that kind of came along with them. Like she's like real tough. And then they like wicked traumatize her in like a couple of minutes. It's like, boom, she's like super frantic and traumatized. When they like kill a bunch of people in the vault, like I was like, dang, okay, like it's this type of show, right? It's like, we're really looking at the consequences of the dark side of man. So like all of that to say, I kind of liked it. I kind of liked it. I'm probably gonna watch episode 2. Maybe I'll hate it by episode 7. But I actually found it to be. I liked it. I know but maybe it's because I'm not a Halo fan, right? There was like, I know who Master Chief is, but after that, I could really care less about Halo. So, it was just entertaining for me. And I'm intrigued by some of the characters that are not Master Chief. I'm like super intrigued about the scientist chick and like, what is she doing? Like, what is she all involved with? And like, she's kind of going rogue by like commanding her Spartans to defend the guy who's supposed to die. And like, that's kind of interesting. I sort of like that tension. And now we're like protecting the girl that's supposed to be terminated and he's getting these memories. I like all that stuff. So I know that you guys probably hate it because it's like, it doesn't speak to the inner parts of your soul that love Halo and Master Chief. But as somebody who doesn't care about it, I was like, I'm actually intrigued by all of the characters around Master Chief. So
you are one of the 6.8 million that signed up for Paramount Plus then.
I'm one of the, well, actually, I just took Baggy Man's sign in and I watched it.
You're the reason account. Netflix is failing then, apparently. Saint Bear in the chat.
Netflix is failing for a lot of reasons. That's a whole
we can have a conversation about that if you guys want, but that's going to be a bit.
That'd be next time, yeah. Saint Bear, to put a bow on this topic, Saint Bear wrapped this up so perfectly. In the chat says, so if you come in with low expectations and little knowledge of Halo, it might have potential, but for which I think is great. But for the folks, majority of us who know about the story and hold Master Chief near and dear will likely be let down. Yes and amen. Let's put amens into the chat there because that is absolutely true. Nav, go for it real quick. You're muted there, buddy.
I was not. Hold up. I gotta challenge. Bendit just said I was after the age of Halo. I was not. Halo was on Xbox. I started on the NES. I was of the age of Halo. When Halo came out, my generation was like the first professional video game players. We all wanted to be Chino Mage. So
we've established.
I'm young, not that young.
We've established that Mark's ability to review things is questionable at best, though. So like, just ask his opinion on like just about anything, really, and you can determine
you're not
kind of where you stand in terms of being able to judge the quality of things.
You're
so given that. Watch the next 3 episodes and then come back, Mark, because the first episode has some highlights.
Now, go for it.
Last thing, real quick. There's a new showrunner and writer for season 2. The 2 showrunners and writers have left.
Hallelujah.
Well, that's
I'm just letting you know. That gives me hope. Okay.
Yeah, to get the Game of Thrones writers, right?
Well,
that's the best choice. The people who wrote Game of Season 8. Just get them in, right?
Yeah, because it can't get any worse, right? With that, we wanted to move into actually it's going to be a little bit of a hard turn, a little bit of a hard segue. So stick with us as we kind of bend around the corner here. We've been talking in Lux for the last 3 weeks, ever since Easter, about some pretty deeply personal things that have been going on in really the world in terms of anxiety, depression, kind of the things that stem from the culture around us. And we wanted to have a little bit of a conversation on the roundtable each and every week, or each and every episode, about something that affects us as believers, as Christians, basically giving a Christian worldview take and diving a little bit deeper into some things that are happening around us. And it just so happened that we're in this amazing series on all of these kind of mental health things that are happening around us. And Mark, I guess as you were preparing for your message this week on Wednesday night, which was dope, by the way, you got into some extremely personal things, and I think some things that a lot of people feel and a lot of people struggle with. And I guess my question for you, and as we kick this around as well, like, what did you have to leave on the cutting room floor, and how has this series been hitting you so far?
Well, the series as a whole is just super, super hard to address. So, one, I got to give a shout out to one of our women's groups. So my wife leads a group with Mackenzie in it, who is Gibbles and Bits' wife, and a handful of other ladies who are in the group. And one of the things that they came out and said after group one week is like, we have to do a series on mental health. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, I don't disagree. I don't know how to do it. Like, I have no way of addressing this. Like, outside of my own personal therapy, like, how do you enter into a conversation with something that you're absolutely not professionally trained in, you have no right talking about? And how do I speak about that from a biblical point of view when, a lot of people in the mental health world, like a lot of people who suffer from mental illness have been directly wounded by the Bible. Like, they have been directly wounded by people using the Bible as a weapon against them. And it's like, well, I can't not use the Bible. Like, I'm preaching. That has to happen. But how do we use the Bible in such a way that it speaks what I think the Bible actually says about mental health, which is speaking hope, encouragement, and also challenge, and not what the church has historically represented through the Word of God, which has been more guilt and condemnation. And to be fair, I've been a pastor, and so like we kind of look at pastors and we elevate them onto pedestals and said, you should be perfect, so you should be able to answer every question that comes out perfectly. But the vast majority of pastors have some training in theology, but absolutely zero training in any of this other stuff. And so when people come to them with questions, they don't want to leave them high and dry, right? Mm-hmm. They want to have answers, and so they give the best answers they have. But a lot of pastors, like if they don't struggle with the very specific thing, they just don't understand it or comprehend it. And so it's really hard for them to address it in a way that's helpful. And I'll be perfectly honest, anxiety and depression, like it's going to be extremely difficult. Like I haven't even started the depression message yet, because I'll be honest, I've never really struggled with depression. So how does somebody who doesn't know what it means to be depressed have a healthy, constructive, encouraging, and also challenging conversation from God's word about depression? And so like give grace to spiritual leaders in this area. No one has taught them what to do. No one has taught them how to address it. They have no more ability to really embrace it, address it, or talk about it than anybody else. And yet they're expected to have life-changing and life-transformative answers. And so it's really hard. When it came to addiction, a lot of the stuff that I had to leave on the table was just the particulars of my introduction to addiction, my introduction to pornography, my struggles throughout my life, the seasons when that has been at its worst, and the seasons in which I've received and experienced breakthrough. So like the crux of that, like the pinnacle of that, was sophomore year of college, junior or freshman and sophomore year of college. And the breaking point of that was halfway through my junior year of college. And but I didn't have time, nor was it responsible for me to sort of get into that, or to really have a discussion like, yeah, the chains of addiction are broken, but that doesn't mean your brain, like there's a truth in which God sometimes provides us with freedom from sin, but that doesn't mean there are not long-term consequences for sin. So for example, if you lie, you might get in trouble. If you murder somebody, you're going to go to jail. Will God forgive you of murder? Yes, he will forgive you of murder, but will you pay the long-term earthly consequence for it? Yes, you will. Have I been a porn addict? Yes. Will God forgive me? Has he forgiven me? Yes. But my brain still deals with very likely the next, even in recovery, 10, 15, maybe decades of my life, that my brain will be hardwired for it. And I have to learn how to manage that, deal with that, and recover from that. Because just because God has forgiven me of something doesn't mean that every repercussion for my actions have been lifted. And so I deal with that daily. That stuff that is just, at least in a church chat during a sermon, is not always the easiest to step into that conversation. And historically, I would have, to be fair, I would have. But I also recognize that the brain of an addict, like when my spiritual mentors have confessed their issues around lust, it has given me permission to struggle. It's given my addict brain will look for anything to justify the addiction. And so because of that, when I have a mentor or a spiritual person who comes into my life, if they even hear about my problem but don't condemn me, I just assume my brain will justify it because it says they're approving it. And so I recognize the fact that when I talk about this, I have to be very careful, because every person in the chat who's an addict along with me will look to me and say, well, if Mark deals with this, it's okay for me to keep dealing with it. It's okay for me to let it persist in my life. And instead, I went the direction of, I wish I would have known, because this is what I deal with today. And I wish at 16, somebody would have told me, Mark, at 34, you're still going to be in the fight. And so, that's some of the stuff that had to stay on the cutting room floor. And some of the main reasons that we, really dove into and entered the conversation around addiction. There's just so many people in the gaming community addicted. Yeah. And so to a wide variety of things, but porn being capital amongst those things. Let's just be real.
Yeah. And I was watching it with my wife, and I, first of all, Christian Ninja raiding with a group of 14. So thanks for joining in, everybody.
Hey, welcome, Christian Ninja. Thank you.
Welcome to the Roundtable. We are here kind of discussing some things that have been happening just over the past week, really kind of getting out there and just having a chat. So pop into the chat, let us know who you are, and just say hey. I was watching this with my wife this week, and I kind of let my story fly a couple weeks ago when I was given the ability to preach on stream. And I have an addict personality. I was a cocaine addict, and I was a hardcore drug user, and so I have that very addictive personality. And a lot of the things that Mark was saying during the message were striking home for me. But the thing that kind of was laid bare to me, and Templar, I kind of wonder how you felt about this, was the fact that not necessarily Mark putting himself on a pedestal, but him actually backing off and saying, I don't want to say some of these things because I don't want to trigger you. That's actually a thing that I have not heard people getting up on a platform talking about. Usually it's self-aggrandizing and all of that. So Mark, that's a little bit of a pat on your back. But Templar, how does that feel when you hear somebody say like, hey, I don't want to say things because I'm afraid of the consequence there?
I think it's something you need to be aware of as a person who's speaking to a lot of people, and people you don't necessarily have a relationship with, and you don't know what everyone's situation is. I think it's something that's beneficial to make clear. But at the same time, I think, we have to deal with these hard things. And I think Mark does a good job of doing that, because, they have to be addressed. I feel like mental health, stress, anxiety, depression, addiction are just synonymous with the online community. And maybe it's because it's an outlet that people have to express themselves where they can't do it in person. But knowing that, I think it's a very difficult line to walk, to have the discussion without maybe going too deep into it, that you're going to kind of bring something up to someone that might put them down that road again. And I think that's just where, to me, it's just where grace comes in. Like, I think, I think it's not really Mark's words, and that he's speaking from his own experience. But, I believe that, the Holy Spirit and the Lord is speaking through him. And I think that the Lord will give him the wisdom to reach to people and not to say things or to push people in a way that will be unhealthy for them. So that's my kind of view of it. I think it's good that Mark is aware of it. But, again, it's a knife's edge, I guess, to walk, to use a cliche. But, I think it's largely been well balanced, and I think it's been beneficial to confront these things openly. And I'm speaking from my perspective. I personally haven't felt that because a leader admits to something, it means it's okay for maybe myself to continue with it if it was something I'm struggling with. I think it's just good to know that people aren't too afraid to talk about the things that they're dealing with, and that people in positions of power or in higher positions in a church are willing to say that they're not perfect and not position themselves as being, above many of these things, and they can kind of place themselves in it when it's applicable. And that gives me kind of hope, because I'm someone who constantly compares myself to others. And it is somewhat of the social media disease of comparing yourself to the best that others portray. And so when others are willing to portray themselves as they are, then I think that helps to gauge where you're actually at. And you might still be hard on yourself. I still am hard on myself in terms of where I'm at, but it's helpful to me to put things in a better perspective about where people are actually at, who's dealing with things, and that there's things going on that you don't see in regards to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Nav, in terms of addiction and really the gigantic mental health conversation, you actually have an enormous opportunity each and every week to speak to people that are dealing with mental health on the front lines. How is that all going kind of in your own personal life as well?
It's tough. I'll be honest with you. It's tough. For those that don't know, I work with students from middle school to high school, and in our church. And it's a wide range of things. It's crazy just talking to students and what they're going through, from what they're viewing, what they're hearing, what's happening in school, what's being done in school. Not so much from teachers, but with other students, basically. There's bullying going on and everything else. And that attributes to mental health things too. And relationship stuff. is crazy. It's a lot of the stuff that I have learned has been just from experience, honestly, dealing with them and stuff. But one of the things that really stood out with me this series is with Mark speaking on it and everything else about anxiety was being real. One of the things that I tried to do with students is, and I'll get into this a little bit, but last year, was it last year? I think it was last year. I had an anxiety attack, and it was the first time I ever had. I'll mention it. It's like, to me, my mind is a little bit logical, so I was like, as it was happening, I'm kind of like, what is happening? What is going on? I'm like, oh, this is what it must be, and then, and I've read about everything, so I tried to go through steps to calm down and everything else, and it did help and stuff. And I talked to people after. That was important for me, to talk to people after, not to hold it in, not to mention anything. I told my wife, I'm like, hey, this is what happened. And then we talked through it, like what caused it? What were the steps leading up to this? And this is where I talked to the students about anxiety and depression. And it was from my story. I'm like, hey, this is what happened to me. I want to be honest with you guys. I'm not immune to things. I'm just like you. I go through things. I struggle. And so I appreciate Mark sharing his story, because we all have stories. And for me, in the church I grew up in a very legalistic setting of a church growing up, where you didn't talk about things. It's like you talked about things, but only to show that you were a good Christian. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But like your failures and your vulnerabilities, in a sense, was you didn't talk about it because, one, it could get circulated around the church, which is wrong, and so that builds up trust issues with the church and trust issues with your church and stuff. Like, I never wanted to open up with anyone if I was like going through a thing with viewing stuff, anything from like if it was pornography or anything. I didn't want to talk to people about that, anxiety, depression, anything, or even just other little simple things, because I was always afraid of like, what are they going to think of me, and what are they going to say to other people? And that creates more anxiety. And like, you can see it's like a vicious cycle. But the church should be a safe space where you can talk about that, and it can be a place where trust is built and help is built and guidance is built. But and I came out of that, and where I am now, and I try to do with the students, where I'm like, listen, yes, you're under your parents. Your parents are going to have to know things. I let them know, if you tell me this or this right here, your parents are going to know about it, because, but I'm like, I'm letting you know up front on these things. But I will not talk to anyone else about it. This will be between you, me, and your parents, unless your parents want to go further with, But hey, but with adults is different, it's adults with difference. But I thought it was really helpful how he shared. And I'm like, I've had that experience where I've shared, and also about the triggers and stuff. I'm very careful about that, because Mark's a little bit more difficult, because you have new people coming in. You don't know everyone's background. With my students, I know a good majority of their background, and with other people. So I'm careful about what certain things I say and how I say it, because I don't want to trigger things. So that was awesome, you talking about that. I'm like, that's really good, because I tried to do that with the students, because I know some of them have gone through that could really trigger them and either put them in a dark place or trip them up. But I want to help them too. So it's like, it's a fine line. And some of this has to be a one-on-one conversation instead of a group conversation if you're going to get into. And I think that's where it's a balance. It's like, yeah, you can do generalized, speak to the group, but if you want to get in detail, if there's someone going through something, it, or you can invite the people like, hey, if you need to talk about it, come talk to me, and we'll talk more about this right here, because I don't want to
That's good.
So I love something you added there, Nav, because mental health issues are an individual thing, right? And the problem is, when we go to the church and we say church, we want you from a spiritual point of view to talk about this. You can't talk to the individual. So for example, when I'm preparing the message on anxiety, I'm thinking of two things, right? I have people in my community who have anxiety that can be overcome, right? There's people who are there, anxiety that can be overcome, that they've given into, that if they beat it, right, they'll be healthier. And actually they can do it, right? They have the fortitude. There's lots of people in the world in that situation, right? Where anxiety is a matter of a change of mindset and perspective, and with a little bit of help, they can get there. Then there are also people in there that if they do exactly that, will actually damage themselves, right? So there's a group of people who I say, your anxiety is outside of your control. You need to go seek more help. Medication is likely the answer. It actually damages them, because what they don't need is they don't need a crutch in order to lighten the load. There's internal things. They don't need a Band-Aid, right? Because in this case, for some medication becomes a Band-Aid, and they don't need a Band-Aid, right? They need to heal, and that healing is only going to come about if they confront their traumas and the lies that they've believed. The flip side of that is, right, if I tell that to a group of people who do need medication, right, they actually genuinely have something going on biologically that requires some medication, it does significant damage to them. Yep. And so when you walk the knife edge, you're actually always falling off of it. Like, there's never a point where you can walk out and say to a group of people, here's how we address anxiety, depression, or addiction, because you are always, always, always failing both sides in some capacity. And so when you walk it, you have to come through. And that's why it was so important to us to have these disclaimers. And shout out to Mackenzie. Before I started this, she's a professional, she's a doctor and works in hospitals and stuff. And I literally went to her and I was like, what do I need to do? She's like, you have to start every one of your messages with a group of disclaimers. Yep. That way people know exactly what you're talking to in the group that you're talking to. So for example, our anxiety message was unapologetically targeted at people who likely don't need medication to deal with their anxiety, but need a mindset shift, right? That's who we're targeting, because that's the only group of people I can actually help. The other group of people who need to go to a doctor, who need to find medical attention, right? I literally cannot help them except telling them to go find help. Yep. And so I think that's one of the hardest things when you're talking about mental health from any point of view, even with the 30 or so people who are here in chat right now, right? Every comment has the chance to do damage, because mental health is an individual thing. That's why we have therapists, and you don't go to a therapist and sit in a room with 150 people and have the therapist help you, right? You go one-on-one to the therapist, because it's an individual thing. Yep. It's really not a group project.
Absolutely. And the disclaimer, as we start to kind of land the plane here, the disclaimer for everybody in chat right now is less of, hey, we are trying to harm you and all that, because obviously we're not. We love you and we want to care for you. But we all kind of have our own bugaboos. We all have our own struggles and addictions inside that kind of we're trying to fight against. And the Holy Spirit is trying to help pull us away from those. But sometimes you need to talk to somebody that is not you, that's not your wife or your spouse or your best friend or a group of people on the internet. Sometimes you need a counselor, and that is, it's a brave thing to take that first step. I know I struggle from depression and generalized anxiety disorder. I'm on medication. It's okay. Like I had to have somebody basically talk to me and look me in the face and say, hey, it's okay. If you're struggling, to go talk to somebody, it's okay. It's not a sin. It's not a weakness. It's not a fault or a failing. And so if that is you and you're feeling that, like, it's okay to go talk to somebody. It really, really is. And that's what this entire series has been designed to do, to minister to you, to kind of open your heart up, but also to give you the courage and give you the strength to actually battle those things that you're struggling with. Because I tell you what, for me, and I don't know for everybody else on the stream right now, but for me, it is a battle every single day to wake up and choose joy, choose patience, choose the fruit of the Spirit in my life, because the rest of my chemistry, my brain chemistry, is always telling me to be just pissed off the entire time and to yell at people and to want to drive my car 1,000 miles an hour and to be really self-destructive, and instead to choose the things. And that's only because I took that first step and said, hey, I need to go talk to somebody about this. So I'm done blathering, Mark. Anything as we wrap up here, as you kind of give a shout out into the Lux community right now?
Thank you for joining us. COD Life 566. Thank you for the follow. Titan, or I'm sorry, I say X Titan Ninja. It's Christian Ninja. Thank you for the raid. John Bearded Man, I think is what it says. Thank you for the follow as well. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome and amazing. We love you. Come and join us in Discord. I'll go ahead and hit exclamation point Discord in chat. But we'd love to have you come if you're here with us. We have an online church, so this is our. I misspelled Discord, so somebody spelled Discord in there, so I don't have to talk and do it at the same time. Come and join us in our Discord server. Come hang out with us. Our church is all about meeting people where they are. We are not a group of perfect people. We're a group of anxious, depressed addicts who are also following Jesus, right? In many ways. And we love you. We care about you. We do believe that there's freedom that can be found through faith in Jesus Christ. But that doesn't mean that you wake up in freedom and you feel good every day. And so it doesn't mean that every day is a good day. And we understand that as well. So we'd love to have you come and join our faith community. It doesn't matter where you are or what you believe. If you're on spiritual journey, we have a place for you. So we'd love to have you come and hang out with us if you're genuine about wanting to pursue spiritual life and spiritual journey.
Totally.
Come and join us.
Totally. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks Templar. Thanks Nav. Thanks everybody joining us in chat as well. We'll talk to you next time. We love you guys. See ya.
See ya,
everyone.